Now, joining us now to discuss the further, we have NYDA spokesperson Siyabonga Magala, and from Siyaphumelela Development Projects, we've got Ntokozo Mota and Tosman Entertainment's Tosca Mulemane. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Now, Siyabonga, just to start with you, what's the NYDA's mandate?
The mandate of the National Youth Development Agency is to coordinate youth development across sectors of society. I think, as the inset indicated, we've got a responsibility to make sure that youth development programs are implemented as a deliberate effort by the public sector, by the private sector, as well as civil society in general.
Now, Tosca, you're a beneficiary of the NYDA. How simple was it for you to get the necessary assistance that you needed for your business?
Good evening to the viewers at home. I can't say it was really simple, but there's a procedure. I filled in the forms as usual, and I waited for about 2 to 3 weeks, to get a response, and I got the response. Would
you say the same, Ntokozo, the response was a little shorter?
No, it was not.
How long did you have to wait before you got the necessary assistance?
It took a month.
Oh, it took a month, yes. Okay.
But the response was very positive.
I think also it depends on what you're applying for.
All right.
Yeah, because sometimes if you're going to apply for something that needs a lengthy research on, obviously it's going to take time, for them to respond, because they still need to assess, and also it depends on how many people are on the list. So I guess maybe I was fortunate at that time, especially as my first encounter. The waiting was not that long.
Siyabonga, now it seems like the NYDA is going through some sort of revamp. Can you just take us through the NYDA's new focus?
Last year, in March, following the appointment of the current board of the National Youth Development Agency by President Jacob Zuma, the new board took a decision that the focus of the NYDA will change, focusing primarily on education as well as skills development, continuing, of course, with the focus on enterprise development, because I think small businesses have proven to be a very important element in terms of creating jobs for young people, but also young people who start these small businesses are then able to go beyond creating employment for themselves, but to create work for other young people as well. But importantly to note is that we changed our focus on loan provision to grant provision, as indicated in the background. And the grant really starts from 1,000 rand to 200,000 rand. And in terms of revamping or refocusing at the NYDA, one of the things that we've done, as the two beneficiaries have indicated, is that we've tried to even minimize the period within which we respond to the applications of young people, because you would agree with me that many young people are unemployed and they are becoming extremely impatient. So in our response, we've tried to say, let's minimize the turnaround period such that they know whether they've received the necessary feedback, which is positive or negative, such that they know what's the next step to follow.
Now, Ntokozo, you mentioned that you applied and a month later they responded. Now, can you give us a breakdown of how you utilized the funding for your specific business?
Okay. What we did, we have managed to get the funds, of which what we have utilized, we were able to get the bottle crusher with that money, and also the office equipment. And through the program of NYDA, we have considered taking our employees to do workshops, and we have already sustained a possible job for 12 people, of which they are employed under our company.
Wow. Now, when you say employed, are they full-time employees,
yes,
or is it casual workers?
Yes, they are.
So it's full-time employees. And you, Tosca, in terms of your entertainment business, how is the industry welcoming you as someone who is new within that sector?
Well, it's kind of tough, I must say, because it depends on your financial muscle, because to host events is costly. But fortunately, where I used to go, high school. I went to Littleville High School. My former high school is the one that I'm using that platform as the one that I'm hosting events there, so that I don't have to spend much money, and also to gain more exposure on hosting.
All right, Siyabonga. Now, MPs in Parliament have been questioning the effectiveness of the NYDA. What's your take on this? Do you think that you guys can do more to push forward, or is it just criticism?
Look, I think if I can make an example about the grant program, again, which we launched late last year, we've spent between then and April this year about above 25 million supporting just about 500 youth-owned enterprises. We've launched a Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund, a 20 million scholarship fund. This year alone, we've been able to assist over 200 young people to access institutions of higher learning. We've got a second chance matric rewrite program. We've got skills development programs like the Youth Build program, where young people go on site and learn skills in terms of building houses from the beginning up until completion. So we are implementing the mandate that government has given us. We've had those comments by those who feel that indeed it's ignorance. We responded, in fact, to the call, in particular by the DA, but we're not going to be defocused by people who do not really understand the work that we're doing on the ground. But of course, we continue to engage various stakeholders, including those who are calling for the disbandment of the NYDA, to say they must come on board and discuss with us such that they are able to understand the work that we're doing. But of course, the limitations that we're facing as an organization, because we can't entirely claim successes. There are challenges that we're facing, in particular, resource capacity. If you consider the numbers of young people who require the assistance of the NYDA, there are too many. Indeed, we may not be able to reach out to all of them. But so far, I think the progress that we're making is very good.
Now, Ntokozo, with regards to your business, is the NYDA offering some after-service support? So after they give you the grant, are you getting more support from them in terms of how to run your business? Because that's very important. Yes. How is that better for you?
The NYDA have organized workshops, of which it's not only us, as I've indicated. In our cooperative, it's the board of directors, there are 6. Then we have employed 12 people. There is a program that is currently run by the Environmental Affairs together with the NYDA, of which is called unemployment workshops. Those are the things of which not only our employees, not only us as the grant officials, there are people of which they are being given assistance by the NYDA through their programs.
Now, you, in terms of the actual helping Tosca, you've been helped by NYDA as a young entrepreneur. How are you going to pay it forward? Are you at a point now where you can say you're going to reel in other young entrepreneurs?
Yeah, most definitely, because what we're doing now, we actually work with, hand in hand with ABZ Foundation. It's based in UJ, Bunting, what was that campus?
Buntingville.
Yeah, the nearby campus around here. We work with the final year students. We work with them. We give them exposure, especially the final year students. That's how we also are giving back, you know, because now slowly we're gaining momentum. And in terms of employment, we don't employ full-time employees, but depending on the capacity of the event, we get you know, students and also people to assist us, depending on how big is the event.
Siyabonga, the NYDA is a national agency, but let's be realistic now. How difficult is it for you guys to reach rural youth?
We've got a number of full-service branches or offices across the 9 provinces. In total, we've got 14 branches, across the 9 provinces. But also one of the things that we've done to make sure that we expand our presence, particularly in rural areas, because that's where service delivery is indeed taking place. We've partnered with local municipalities. We've got offices in a number of local municipalities, which we call the local youth offices of the NYDA, where young people can go and interact with staff of the NYDA and get information about our products and services.
Now, Ntokozo, what advice can you give to youth who would like to apply to the NYDA but are a little bit hesitant because of some of the negative publicity perhaps that the NYDA has gotten?
You see, there is something that you have to understand. Publicity, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. The NYDA is an organization that is run by people, of which us, we are human beings, of which we have to know what is it that you need in life first. Then to the youth, of which they want to go to NYDA and ask for funds. And what is good about the program of the NYDA that they have now is not longer loans. It's what? It's grant. Go there, apply, and make sure that you present your case. Because sometimes we find that youth, they don't know what is the business plan. Those are the things of which they can become a challenge at the end of the day. Seek for advisors.
And you, Tosca, what would you say to youth who are hesitant to apply?
Don't feel despondent. It's a process, but for every good thing, you have to wait. And myself, you know, we've been assisted. It's possible. It can be done to you as well.
Now, Siyabonga, let's just move to innovation. The reality is the world has changed and technology is playing a major role. What is the NYDA doing to fund things like startups, for example, and not just maybe small, ordinary businesses that you would normally see in your average town?
Look, we encourage young people to be as innovative as possible, but importantly, the businesses that they must present to us must be viable businesses. It must be businesses that are able to generate income and create employment for other young people. Because ultimately the goal is not just to run businesses for the sake of it. It must be able to contribute to the economy of the country, but also contribute to the targets that government has set in terms of the creation of employment. But maybe also to respond briefly to the issue of publicity. I think we acknowledge we've had challenges in the past, including the publicity you're speaking to. But one of the things that we said we're going to do robustly is to be as practical as possible, bringing on board young people who have benefited from the products and services of the NYDA to speak for themselves, such that other young people who are sitting at home despondent are able to see that indeed there are young people, ordinary, who have been able to receive assistance from the NYDA, and encourage them as well to say, if others can do it, why can't they then take up the opportunities that are available as well.
Can you just take us through the voucher system? Because I know there's the actual grant where you finance them, but how does the voucher system work?
A voucher is a young person would apply, for instance, for services such as branding for the business, legal services, bookkeeping, financial administration, and a number of other services. What we do is that a young person pays an amount of 200 rands from the NYDA. We then give them a number of companies that are listed on our database that do the specific service that the young person wants to do. From those companies, the young person is able to then select a company that will either do the work that they want done, if it's bookkeeping, or financial administration, whatever work. Then that voucher is converted. It can be any amount between 1,000 up to 20,000 rands, depending on how much it costs to do the work that the young person or the business requires at a particular time. So upon completion of the work by the service provider that the young person has selected, we then pay the service provider directly for the services rendered to the young person.
Now, Ntokozo, just lastly, how has the assistance from the NYDA changed your life holistically?
Okay. It have done a lot. There is a question that you have asked Sia, of which I want just to add on that. It was not only the grant that we have received from NYDA. In terms of the voucher, we have received the voucher for branding, also for printing from NYDA as well, together with the PE certificate. It have changed our life, those funds, in a way that, you see now, I'm happy.
All right, and just lastly, Siyabonga, now the theme of the Youth Month this time around is youth moving South Africa forward. As a NYDA, do you think the youth has finally realized that it is important for us to go out there and create opportunities for ourselves?
From the experiences that we've had, we've got a number of young people that continue to knock on the doors of the NYDA, presenting a number of programs that they are running, their own initiatives. So indeed, we're confident that young people have come to realize that it's their turn to take the baton and move South Africa forward.
All right, thank you very much for joining me, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Now, earlier on, we asked the Twitter sphere if they think the NYDA is doing enough to help the youth move South Africa forward, and this is what you had to say. Now, Mncedisi Dubazane says, yes, they are very informative. I commend their good work. We've got Ndumiso Dlamini, who says, I have been knocking on their doors looking for financial support to pursue my business ambitions. I need details for the senior staff. I'm assuming that's what they meant. And then Kakhisho Butake says, no, it's not. I applied for funds for my business and they never replied. And Boramunoto says they are moving forward corruption, patronage, nepotism, failure and incompetency. And Nzinga says NYDA is meant to empower young entrepreneurs. Instead, it has barriers worse than a bank, lots of admin scandals. Let's hope the NYDA will heed the call of South African youth.